All right, welcome back. Well, we all know Forest Park is known as the crown jewel of St. Louis, home to some of our city's most beloved destinations, from the zoo to the art museum to the Muni and so much more. But have you ever wondered how it all began? Well, a new book, How Forest Park Was Made, really takes readers through the transformation of this iconic park over 2 centuries. And joining us live this morning to tell us all about it is the book's author, Ian Sullivan. Thank you so much for joining us. Something I just learned about Ian too, first-time author, so congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Awesome. So we were just talking about how you grew up in Washington, Missouri.
Yeah.
Tell us about growing up, outside of St. Louis and
Yeah.
why you wanted to write this in the first place.
Yeah, so my parents, most of my family is actually out in St. Louis.
Okay.
So we moved out there for a variety of reasons into the countryside, but single mom of 6 kids, we spent a lot of time in places like Forest Park, because you could just unleash the kids. They
Yeah.
could go be wild, they could adventure, they could climb on things and all that good stuff. So climbing the gorilla at the zoo was a popular pastime for us. Science Center, the big T-Rex, it just lit up our imaginations.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of what inspired me to even think about doing a Forest Park book.
You have a lot of memories yourself there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And ironically, I actually started to pitch a book to a local interest publisher, Reedy Press, who did this book. And Josh over there, funny enough, was like, I don't want your book, but I'm working on a Forest Park kids book celebrating 150 years of the park. Do you want in? And that kind of went from there.
That's amazing. So who is this book really for?
So I would say it's mostly for my kids. So
Yeah.
I've got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. And I want them 2 things really. One, to see that, hey, if you have an idea, if you know the right people to tap into and bring along the way, you can go do it. And then the second thing is just to understand how magical of a place we really have in St. Louis. The Forest Park is unlike so many other parks out there, and it has so much to offer, and it's because of all the people that are mentioned in this book, and the people that Josh and I really were passionate about championing, that had the tenacity to push for things that didn't make sense along the way.
So is this book, more of a fun read to read with your kids, or is it educational, or is it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both. So the beauty of it is it's a blend of photography and illustration. So you got these cartoon characters along the way, but what we noticed is Missouri Historical Society had all this photography of Forest Park over the 150 years. So what we wanted to do is blend it, and what happens is, for a kid, thinking about what life was like in 1876 and seeing these kids in funny clothes, it's
like,
hard
what?
to it's hard to connect. That's not them. That they don't sit long enough to experience what it was like in that moment. So the cartoon characters are meant to kind of bring them in and then let them sit in that moment. Like, we got layers of photography over layers of photography. It's not real world, but what it is meant to do is kind of suck them into that moment and feel, oh man, at the World's Fair, like, I've had electricity all my life.
Yeah.
I have, and my kids most certainly have. But what was it like to be a kid or a parent at the World's Fair and at night see a building lit up for the first time? That must have been incredible. So letting those cartoon characters kind of light that up and feel the magic of it more than the reality of it.
That's amazing. Well, and speaking of just the history of all of it, what surprised you the most as you really dug into the history of Forest Park and worked on this book?
Yeah, I think it was a lot of the people that, again, championed things that didn't make sense. Like a greenhouse with vertical windows that every engineer they talked to was like, we're not going to do it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, but they pushed for it because they wanted the light. They wanted the experience, and they didn't stop. They didn't hear no. They just said, all right, out of my way, I'm going to go over here. Etta Steinberg, she went to Central Park and saw this beautiful rink. It was like, we need that. And she didn't stop. She just did it. So every step of the way, there was just these people, Dwight Davis saying, hey, get these keep off the grass signs out of here. Like, we're going to get people stomping on grass. We're going to put up tennis courts. And they didn't have to do that, but they chose to do that. And domino effect over 150 years, you get enough people that are stubborn enough, and you get Forest Park. And that's what we got.
I love the way you said that. Is there anything you think people will be most surprised about when they read this book?
I think more than anything, the thing that they're going to be surprised about is that there is so much that went into it. I think that's the moment that I want to click for the parents reading the book, not just the kids seeing the kids. A lot of the time, my kids are reading it, they're just like, there's that bird again, the bird's eating popcorn. That's what the kids want. But for the parents to be like, oh man, I didn't know that Etta Steinberg was the one that championed that. You know, like there's an assumption that, you know, there are these stodgy old guys that do things. Like, no, Etta Steinberg went and saw the rink and said, we're doing that, you know? So that kind of moment of the things that we kind of know, but we didn't know all the way.
Well, we had the Missouri Historical Society on a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
and we were talking for the St. Louis's birthday.
Yeah.
There's so much history in St. Louis that A, people either don't even realize, born and raised here, B, or that people just, we kind of take for granted, right?
Absolutely.
So I love that that book encompasses all that. While we're wrapping up, where can people buy that?
So you can get it at forestparkbook.com.
Okay.
You can also get it through the Reedy Press site, and then really your favorite bookstore in town,
Yeah.
Left Bank Books. I'll be there on March 14th. Different bookstores, different boutiques in St. Louis. Anybody that has a small shop will probably have it.
And I love that you're having the small shops also sell it. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ian.
Thank you for having me.
What a great book.